Hey, history lovers, we are back. You know, AI has some powerful tools, but we missed the personal touch of our channel. Today, we're going to talk about Kublai Khan, Genghis Khan's grandson, the true architect of an empire unlike any other in history, where you had Buddhist monks debating with Christian missionaries, Islamic scholars sharing ideas with Confucian philosophers, and Marco Polo sitting in the corner taking notes to take back home. Blood of the great Genghis Khan flowed through his veins. But destiny had greater plans for Kublai than just another grandson of the world's greatest conqueror. This is the story of how a young prince became the mightiest ruler Asia had ever known. The year was 1251. While Kublai was mastering the arts of war and leadership in northern China, his brother Mongke became Great Khan of the Mongol Empire. Mongke had a vision, complete what Genghis had started: total world domination. He gave Kublai command of the eastern armies, and here's where our story truly begins. Kublai's first test came in the kingdom of Dali, in modern-day Yunnan. The year was 1253, and Kublai proved he was every bit the military genius his grandfather was. Instead of charging through the main roads where Dali's armies waited, he did something unprecedented. He moved his entire army through treacherous mountain passes the enemy thought impassable. When Mongol forces emerged behind Dali's defenses, the kingdom fell within months. But this was just the beginning. By 1257, Kublai had built a powerful base in northern China, commanding the loyalty of both Mongol warriors and Chinese soldiers. When his brother Mongke died in 1259, the empire stood at a crossroads. Who would become the next great Khan? What followed was the first great battle for Kublai's destiny, the war against his own brother, Arik Boke. While Arik held the Mongol homeland, Kublai commanded the wealthy Chinese territories and their vast resources. The brothers' armies clashed repeatedly during 4 years, with Kublai eventually emerging victorious through superior strategy and resources. But becoming Great Khan was just the first step. Kublai had set his sights on the greatest prize of all, the southern Song dynasty of China. This wealthy empire had resisted Mongol conquest for generations. They had vast armies, enormous wealth, and sophisticated naval power. Many thought them unconquerable. The stage was set for the greatest military campaign of the 13th century. Kublai Khan, now ruler of the largest land empire in history, versus the most sophisticated civilization of its time. The outcome would determine the fate of all Asia. Stay tuned for part 2, where we'll discuss how Kublai Khan launched the largest mission of conquest the world had ever seen, and either conquered everything or lost it all. Welcome back. When we left off, Kublai Khan stood at the height of his power, ready to launch the greatest campaign of conquest in medieval history, the invasion of southern Song China. The campaign began in 1268 with the siege of Xiangyang, the Song dynasty's mightiest fortress. For 6 years, this fortress held out against everything Kublai Khan threw at it. But the Khan had a secret weapon: Muslim engineers who built the most powerful siege weapons Asia had ever seen. When these massive counterweight trebuchets finally breached Xiangyang's walls in 1273, they did more than destroy a fortress. They shattered the myth of Song invincibility. What followed was a campaign of unprecedented scale. Kublai assembled the largest naval force in history, over 5,000 ships carrying hundreds of thousands of warriors. The Song responded with their own massive fleet. The battles that followed on the Yangtze River were legendary. Burning ships, naval ramming tactics, and desperate hand-to-hand combat on blood-soaked decks. The decisive moment came at the Battle of Yamen in 1279. The last Song emperor, a young boy, watched from his flagship as Kublai's forces closed in around him. When it was all lost, his loyal minister, Lu Xiufu, took the boy emperor in his arms and jumped into the sea. With their deaths, the Song dynasty, after over 3 centuries of rule, finally fell to Kublai Khan. Now, ruler of North and South China, Kublai commanded an empire unequaled in history. From Korea to Iran, from Siberia to Vietnam, all trembled at his name. But he wasn't finished. He launched invasions of Japan with massive fleets in 74 and 81, though these failed due to legendary divine winds, the kamikaze typhoons as they were known. They showed Kublai's boundless ambition. By the time of his death in 1294, Kublai Khan built something that had no precedent, an empire that controlled more of Asia than anyone before or since. The Yuan dynasty would rule China for another century. The systems of power he created, the military organization, the administrative systems, the trade networks, would influence Asian politics for centuries to come. Kublai Khan's legacy wasn't just in conquest. It was in creating an empire so vast and powerful that it changed the world forever. The Silk Road reached its peak under his rule, connecting Europe and Asia like never before. His capital at Xanadu became legendary as the greatest city in the world. Even after his empire eventually fell, the memory of his power and glory would inspire conquerors and emperors for centuries to come. This was Kublai Khan, the man who began as one of many grandsons of Genghis Khan, but ended as the ruler of the largest empire medieval history would ever know. His life reminds us that true greatness comes not just from winning battles, but from building something that outlasts them. Power isn't just about conquest, it's about creation, and he created his own reality. Want more stories of history's greatest conquerors? Subscribe and welcome to the Empire.